Stop this, Harper. That's my brother.
What? You have a cripple as a brother? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Harper, can you stop it? Stop looking down on him. He's crippled, but not dumb.
Aw, the orphan sibling is defending her crippled brother. Ugh, Victor, how can you let her bring a crippled man in here?
It's my freaking wedding, Harper. You don't get to have a say in whatever I do. And Scott is my brother. Stop talking about him in that manner. My wedding day was nearly ruined by my insane sister-in-law. After my parents' death, my crippled brother had relocated to Italy, but I remained here in Canada. I was working as a nurse when I met my husband Victor at the hospital. He was rushed in one day after being involved in a terrible accident. It affected his spine, making him only have a 39% chance of walking again. After 2 weeks, they brought in a therapist to help him with walking. Whenever she wasn't there, I helped him. I wanted him to walk again, no matter what. One day, I was in the middle of his sessions when the door swung open and 2 women walked in. I could tell they were his mom and sister, seeing the resemblance. However, I wasn't pleased by the girl's behavior. She'd rudely brushed me off and hugged her brother, crying. I concluded that she only did that because they hadn't seen him since the accident happened. But after that day, the girl, who I learned was Harper, his sister, got worse. She strangely didn't like me for no reason. I stopped visiting his ward for a while. After a week, I returned. It was at night when his family wasn't present. As I walked in, I saw the joy on his face. I checked him and saw that he'd made progress and could stand on his own and take a few steps. I was so excited. He asked for my name and I told him, before I finally left. The next day, I was told by the doctor that he was requesting my service and had to be assigned to him again. I was happy, knowing that I could take care of him again. When Harper returned and saw me there, she was visibly angry. She called me out and I followed.
Why the hell are you here again?
Your brother wanted it. What's your deal with me?
Well, you're my brother's exact type, and I can't stand him having anything to do with a low-class nurse like you.
Low class? Her brother's type? Before I could speak, she stormed back into his ward. I didn't know what to do. On one hand, I wanted to take care of him, but on the other hand, I didn't want to be looked down on like that. I called my brother and told him about it. He asked me to ignore her and go on with taking care of him if it was what I wanted. I followed his words and ignored Harper's foolishness. After 2 months, Victor was finally able to walk again. On the day he was discharged, he requested my phone number. I was hesitant at first, but when he continued pleading, I had to give it to him. We began talking from there. I couldn't deny that I'd developed feelings for him. Victor was also my type, just as Harper said I was his. When he asked me to be his girlfriend, I didn't hesitate before agreeing. I told my brother about everything, as he was my most trusted confidant. He supported me all through. When Victor proposed marriage, I agreed. My brother couldn't be happier. He'd cried over the phone when I told him about it. I thought about introducing him to Victor. Since he wasn't in the country, we had the introduction over a video call. We spoke at length, and I felt so proud seeing how they spoke like longtime best friends. Although Victor has seen him in a wheelchair, he didn't speak about it until I did. I explained what happened and how it affected us. He sympathized with me and promised to always protect me. I knew I'd found where I belonged, and it was with him. It was soon time to introduce me to his family. My only fear was Harper. His mother wasn't too much of a talker, but she wasn't rude. In fact, she used to get me little appreciation gifts while Victor was still at the hospital. When we got to his house, Harper answered the door.
No way, Victor! What are you doing here with her?
Victor ignored her and took me in with him. Harper followed us to the living room. As I sat with Victor, she stood before us with crossed arms.
Wow, I can't believe this. You really did seduce him because I said you're his type, didn't you?
I didn't seduce your brother. I would never stoop so low for a man, Harper.
Oh, trying to be a saint, I see. Well, let's see how long you can keep that up.
She took her seat opposite us as her parents walked in. It was the first time I was seeing Victor's father. He had a stern look, but he was so nice. They didn't ask us too much. They seemed satisfied to know how we felt about each other. With the introduction done, we proceeded to make wedding plans. But Harper was bent on frustrating me. When I wanted to go shopping for my gown, I'd wanted my cousin to go with me, but Harper told me she wanted to go with me instead. I agreed, hoping we would finally get to bond. Well, we arrived at the shop, and things seemed to be going well at first, until it got to when I began testing the gowns. Harper continuously said they were ugly. I kept changing dresses until I got to the last one. I was exhausted already. I thought it looked perfect on me, and fortunately, so did Harper. She rushed to me and pulled me into a hug. I was shocked for a second, but I hugged her back. Suddenly, and very swiftly, she ripped the gown open from the back. I quickly pushed her off. I checked the dress, and the tear had completely ruined the dress. What have you done?
Isn't it obvious? An orphan and low-class nurse like you should only be in rags, torn rags.
Tears immediately gathered in my eyes as I watched her laugh evilly. She left the shop without me. I couldn't leave the dress after it had been destroyed, so I had to buy it, regardless of how expensive it was. I called my cousin in tears and she came to my rescue. She helped with a better dress and paid for it, even though I told her it was fine.
You need to put that witch in her place soon, darling. She's growing too many wings.
When I got home, I didn't tell Victor about it. He hated how his sister always tried to get on my nerves, so I didn't want them having a fight over me. Anyway, our wedding plan continued to progress. Time flew so fast and the day finally arrived. Harper had wanted to be in my dressing room, but I refused. I didn't trust her one bit. My mother-in-law had also asked me to be careful around her.
I'm aware that Harper dislikes you. I know her more than anyone else. Don't let her close to you today. Trust me, she has plans to cause problems here.
I was surprised when the woman said that, but I took her advice. My female cousins were all around me to ensure my safety. I couldn't believe I was shaken because of Harper. Victor had called me over the phone to ask if I was okay. I told him about my Harper problem. It was then I also told him what had happened with the first wedding dress. Your mom also asked me to be careful to not let her get close to me, but it's what Harper has been trying to do all day. I'm scared. He assured me that I was going to be fine. He also promised to deal with her after the wedding. We were still on our call when I heard noises outside. I quickly rushed out with my cousins, and there, we met Harper with my brother. Even though I was so excited to see him again, I cared more about putting Harper in her place.
Get lost! Crippled people are not allowed here. You're not among us, you hear me? I'll be working for M&M soon, the top fashion brand in Italy and here in Canada. Do you know what that means? It means me and everyone here is better than you. Do get lost.
God, she's so foolish. Stop this, Harper. That's my brother.
What? You have a cripple as a brother? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Harper, can you stop it? Stop looking down on him. He's crippled, but not dumb.
The orphan sibling is defending her crippled brother. Ugh! Victor, how can you let her bring a crippled man in here?
It's my freaking wedding, Harper. You don't get to have a say in whatever I do. And Scott is my brother. Stop talking about him in that manner.
Shut the hell up, Chloe.
No, you shut the hell up. Are you crazy? I've kept quiet all this while, but it doesn't mean I'm stupid. One more word from you and you're gonna hate me.
Do your worst, bitch.
I saw Victor walk toward her with so much anger, but his mom was faster. She landed a resounding slap on her face.
How dare you speak to them that way, Harper? But Mom, they're orphans and he's a disabled asshole. They're clearly only after Victor's money.
This is where I speak, young lady. I'll start by informing you that I'm the owner of M&M, and trust me when I say you won't get to work there or any other fashion brand.
Yes, it was my brother's. After he relocated to Italy, he started a fashion brand. He still managed my father's company while he grew his brand. I was shocked to see how far he'd taken it. He established another company in Italy as my birthday gift last year. I handle it from over here while he also helps me, alongside his trusted employees. I only worked as a nurse to pass time.
Do you think we're poor nobodies, brat? My sister owns Tycon Production in Italy. I'm sure you've heard of it. And by sister, I mean Chloe. Aside from Tycon and M&M, we have one more company. Just so you know, she's wealthy enough to take care of you for the rest of your miserable life. She only works as a nurse as a hobby.
I smiled at the shock on her face. Victor knew about my company, but he had no idea about my brothers, so he was also shocked.
If you don't believe me, try reaching out to the company tomorrow to reject your dismissal.
That's what you get for being so evil.
You call them orphans, but I'm glad they know who their real parents are.
Victor, let it slide. Tell me what you mean, Victor, right this minute.
You're adopted, Harper. They knew their parents, you don't. Is it clear now?
I was shocked. She wasn't their child? She was already in tears now, but no one seemed to be shaken. Her face was full of shame and regret. She tried to run, but my brother tripped her and she fell face down, breaking her nose in the process. I screamed in shock when my brother stood up and moved his wheelchair away. He walked over to Harper and squatted.
I am not a crippled man anymore. Stupid. Now get your unfortunate self out of here.
Harper stood up and ran away, her nose bleeding. No one followed her. No one seemed to care. I rushed to my brother. How did it happen?
The doctors suddenly told me I'd improved, placed me on therapy for a year, and here, I came to surprise you with it.
I pulled him into a hug, nearly crying. I hugged him like that for nearly a minute.
That's enough, siblings. We have a wedding to continue.
We all laughed and went back in to finish our preparations. Harper? Who cares about that loser? Absolutely nobody. Our wedding went smoothly, but by the time we got home, we received a call from a hospital. Apparently, Harper had been crying after hearing she was adopted and was about to cross the road when she was knocked down by a bike. From what the doctor said on the phone, she might not be able to walk again. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
Sky was already 3 by then. My parents didn't take her to kindergarten. Instead, they started to homeschool her. Why homeschool? Why can't she go out like other kids? Because she's not other kids, Troy. She's our Sky, our princess, our sunshine.
How can you even compare Sky to others? Look at her. Have you seen any child as pretty as her?
Yeah? The neighbor's new baby is prettier than Sky.
Ugh! Just get out. Go into your room or something. Just take your negativity away.
Yeah, I was being negative around their princess. Talk about irresponsible parents, and all I can think of is mine. Hi, I'm Troy. I was aged 6 when my parents had Sky, my younger sister. When I saw her for the first time, I thought she was heavenly. She had those huge eyes that gazed at me fearlessly, and curly hair that I envied. She was also chubby, unlike me who was really skinny. Overall, she was a healthy baby. Now, before her birth, my parents had made it quite clear to me that they weren't fans of male children. My dad would tell me stories about how they planned for a baby girl right from when they were dating. They'd even selected names. They never thought about having a boy. Honestly, when we got your gender, we were both disappointed. We wanted a girl. I didn't know what to feel then, but I can say now that I certainly didn't like it. I mean, if they wanted a girl that badly and couldn't get one at first, they didn't have to make me feel guilty for it. Anyway, my sister was brought back home from the hospital, and she took all of my parents' attention. They were always looking after her, barely sparing me a glance, or even speaking to me. Since I was quite grown already, and was a little used to it prior, I began to take care of myself. I would wake up early, get ready for school, and leave alone after fixing breakfast for myself. I did that until I finished junior school and graduated to high school. Sky was already 3 by then. My parents didn't take her to kindergarten. Instead, they started to homeschool her. Why homeschool? Why can't she go out like other kids? Because she's not other kids, Troy. She's our Sky, our princess, our sunshine.
How can you even compare Sky to others? Look at her. Have you seen any child as pretty as her?
Yeah? The neighbor's new baby is prettier than Sky.
Ugh! Just get out. Go into your room or something. Just take your negativity away.
Yeah, I was being negative around their princess. I walked away and went to my room. Sky grew up very quickly. Before I knew it, she was 6 already. She was adorable, but I always avoided her because being with her brought issues with my parents. Once, I tried to switch channels when I saw that she was asleep. But as soon as I touched the remote control, she opened her eyes and asked me to put it down. But you're asleep. I'm not even gonna watch for too long.
Well, you didn't ask for my permission to change it, so I'm not gonna let you.
I was desperate. It was my favorite show. I went on my knees and begged her before she finally let me change it. I wouldn't do so, usually, but after getting beaten thrice for doing something without her permission, I learned to do so. When I finished high school at 18, she was in her final year in junior school. I wanted to further my education, but my parents complained about lack of money. We're going to take a loan. That's the only way we can actually afford to help you get that law degree you want. But you have to wait an extra year. They gave no reason to wait an extra year, but I agreed. However, I didn't just idle at home doing nothing. I got a part-time job. After a year, I'd secretly saved quite an impressive amount of money. I also applied for scholarships. Finally, I was lucky to be among those who got one of them. They were going to cover my tuition until I finished, but I had to do other basic things myself. I was satisfied with it. My parents had taken the loan already. They'd received the sum of $180,000. I'd saved up $7,000, and I needed $43,000 more to cover everything I'll be needing. Eventually, my parents gave me from the loan, and it was all settled, and I left home for college. I didn't want to be at home with my parents and have to face Sky's shenanigans. Life in college was cool. I made like-minded friends, and I studied hard. Eventually, 5 years later, I was done with college. My parents and sister attended my graduation, and I was shocked to see the luxurious display they brought in. One would think they were related to the president or something. I was quite embarrassed, but there was nothing I could do. After my graduation, I returned home. The next thing for me was to start practicing as a lawyer. However, one day, I received an email from the bank claiming I owed $137,000 alongside interest that had accumulated. I couldn't believe my eyes. I left the house headed straight to the bank. There, I was informed that, contrary to what I'd thought, my parents didn't return the remaining money to the bank. I'd take only $47,000 out of $180,000. That meant they'd spent a whooping $133,000. I felt dizzy and had to grab onto a chair and sit down. When I got home, I confronted my parents, but I received the most shocking reply. Well, Sky needed the money more.
I mean, she's a girl. She has to look girly and have all the fun she can have. We had no other means to provide the things she needed, so we used the money. What's the big deal?
Right. What's your deal? You're gonna start making money soon, and you'll pay it off. You don't have to be so stressed about it. Hearing their words was even more stressful. They were so ignorant, so careless. I didn't know what to do. $137,000 was a lot for me. I stormed off to my room to think. After a long time, I finally came to a conclusion. I drafted out my plans and way of execution. The first plan fell in place when I got a job at a law firm. The pay was higher than I imagined. I was able to get the money for an apartment after working only 2 months. While wheeling my boxes out, my parents stopped me. When are you gonna pay the loan? You can't just leave. An apartment is more important. I'm saving up for it. Don't worry too much. I'll pay you back. Now, let me leave. As I turned to leave, I remembered something, causing me to stop and face them again. I hope that spoiled daughter of yours lives a good life. She looks like one who would get you both in deep shit.
Here we go with the negativity. It's better to see you go. Take your negativity out and call us when you're done paying the loan.
Without any more words, I left their house. I worked very hard at the firm. I was so good that I got a promotion in my second month. That meant more money. Soon, I'd succeeded in saving up the $43,000 I took from them. I made it all round up to $50,000 due to the interest payment. When I got home, I met Sky and a boy her age in the living room, with her on his lap. She immediately sprang up when she saw me.
Why are you here?
Are Mom and Dad home?
Obviously they're not. What do you want?
I told her I was there to pay my part of the loan. While giving her the money, I took pictures. I also made videos, all to serve as evidence that I'd paid. Afterward, I left the house. That evening, I got a call from my mom. Apparently, Sky was a chronic gambler. She told my parents about the money I brought and also absconded with it, promising to return home after doubling it. My parents knew the money was gone, so they blamed me. They asked why I didn't pay it in full and why I didn't take it straight to the bank. Firstly, I didn't take the loan myself, so you should go to the bank and not me. Secondly, I used only $43,000 out of the money. The added one was for interest. Now, I'm cleared from everything I owe you guys. They couldn't believe their ears. They'd spent over $100,000 on Sky while I was in college, letting her party as she liked, sponsored her vacations, and even got her a car. I surely wasn't going to pay for that.
Troy, darling, don't do this to us. The bank will take up. Don't let your parents serve jail terms, Troy. Help us, please.
I had no help to render to them, and I let them know. I hung up the call and blocked their numbers. Well, 2 weeks later, the bank truly went to arrest them. Sky was still on the run, so only my parents were sentenced to 6 years each. According to the court, if Sky returned with the money, my parents would only serve 6 years. But if she didn't, then they'd be given more years. Fate seemed to be on my side. Sky wasn't caught until nearly a month later. The cops had shot her legs when she tried to escape. Nevertheless, after she was treated, the court sentenced her to 13 years imprisonment, while my parents got 2 years each added to theirs. The bank sold the house and Sky's car. After their jail terms, the debt was waiting for them. It's been 2 years since they went, and I haven't gone to see them. I do hope they regret their actions and turn a new leaf. I don't plan to be involved in their lives when they're released, though. Don't get me wrong. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.